Welcome to Insure Your Health. My name is Erin Ackenheil, and I work with Blackpoint Insurance. At Blackpoint Insurance, we help Medicare beneficiaries learn about the A, B, C's, and D's of Medicare, and we help agents and brokers nationwide learn to launch, grow, and retain their businesses. Through this process, we meet some amazing individuals, and Insure Your Health features some of those individuals on this show. On our program, we bring on carrier partners, we bring on physician services in the physician community, different doctors that bring on hot topics in the healthcare scene. And even in this edition, we're bringing on one of our subject matter experts. And every year we like to bring Shelley on. She's incredible. She's been on the show before. And I love working with Shelley because Shelley has a deep background in the Medicare space. She's worked for carrier organizations for over 20 years. In fact, that's how the two of us met years ago back at HealthNet. She ran compliance and she's super well respected in the industry. She's taught carrier partners to run compliant organizations, and she's really just an expert in everything Medicare Advantage. So she's just best in class, and anybody who connects with her is able to bring their business, their company up to the next level. The cool thing about Shelley is she kind of left her carrier career behind. And in 2021, she became the CEO and launched her own business, Segal Medicare Experts. And what I've always liked about Shelley is that she sees a gap and she fills it. And what she saw was that people weren't collaborating, they weren't connecting, everybody was reinventing the wheel. And she saw there was an opportunity through her own organization to bring carrier partners together, to bring large FMOs together, to help individual brokers like myself to really be able to figure out a way to grow and do it collaboratively. So we're putting the Medicare beneficiary first, but also not recreating the wheel and being overzealous in our practices and really not getting things done. So she's just incredible across the board. Shelley is coming on to the show today. She's really uniquely positioned to bring us what I'm calling straight talk from Shelley, because what she does is she takes really complex issues and makes them easier for us to understand and make sure that we're operating in a compliant manner and successful in the Medicare Advantage space. So without further ado, I'd like to bring on my friend and business partner, Shelley Segal. Shelley, welcome to the show. How are you?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. We really always appreciate you coming on, looking beautiful and ready to give us everything Medicare Advantage for open enrollment, right?
Sounds good. Year by year, it gets easier as we all do it.
Right. You know, it really does. And one of the things that I've appreciated over the last year or two, Shelley, is you've been a great partner for me because as I've had questions, you've had answers and you didn't make it a big deal to share it. You just have a really collaborative style where you're inclusive and you just try to make things easier. It's not all about like the next dollar or whatever, even though I know you want to run a successful business as well, for sure. So I really appreciate that about you. So I know you pretty well, but I thought it'd be helpful just to remind my audience a little bit about your background and why we should be listening to you about everything with Medicare Advantage. So Shelley, tell us all about yourself.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Always love talking about myself.
Favorite topic, right?
Yes. So essentially, I actually started in the sales arena back in FHP days in Southern California. And that meant at that time going out and meeting with beneficiaries in their house and getting those appointments with the green bar that had the person's name and address and phone number, which we don't get to do anymore. But yep, having that information and then making appointments. It was a lot of fun because you get to meet so many different people. And the bottom line, and which started me in this venture, is the intent to help members, because there are so many different ways you can get your Medicare coverage. And for every single person, it's a little bit different depending on the doctors they have, the prescriptions they have. And I think working all together in the industry, everybody keeps in mind we're here to help. Then we basically are doing our job. So after going into sales, I opened up a Medicare risk contract, or helped open up a Medicare risk contract, which is a long time ago. That's what now MAPD is. Different names, kind of same thing. And that's where I really learned about operations, enrollment, sales, marketing, appeals and grievances, basically everything, which makes it fun. I like going to buffets and having a little bit of everything. And that's what I find in my job now.
Well, I definitely think you bring that to the table because you've had such a deep background in all these different areas, and you're really a known expert in everything Medicare Advantage. So you can really help in any angle at an organization with everything that they need. So I love it. Now, in my days with you, I worked with you at HealthNet. You did a lot in the compliance area. And so that's a lot of my history with you. And that's a lot of how you've helped me. And I think your unique perspective of having worked these different positions, you understand where people are coming from. So of course we want to sell in a compliant manner, but how do we make everybody be able to do what they need to do as easy as possible and still be compliant? And that's really a big deal. And so I thought it would be fun today, and I know you're going to bring it on, that we've been getting some pretty frequently asked questions, and it's going to be fun to bring you on to just kind of tackle those questions. I'm calling it, like I said, Straight Talk with Shelley. So I'm going to bring these on and I'm going to show it up on the screen here. And I thought you could just help us tackle these one by one.
That sounds great. So essentially, I just also wanted to say that I have a team with me, so I'm not in this by myself. I'm in the team and work with everybody to make it easier for all. Can you still see my screen?
I can see it, but it looks like it's not quite in presentation mode. You know, it's kind of, I can see your side screen. So you might have to put it in presenting.
Okay, let me try that again. So all of our team has also been in the area working in this expertise essentially for the last 20 plus years. And we get questions every day from carriers, sponsors, FMOs, agents, brokers, CEOs, CFOs, everyone. And our thing is, if you give us a call and we have that information on the top of the head, knowing it because we worked on it for several years, we will basically provide you that information. No cost to it, because we really want to work together united to make us all have the same information and provide it the same way.
We really appreciate that partnership, Shelley. I mean, obviously you're growing your business and bringing people on and providing new project work. And that's how you put the money in the bank, so to speak, and feed the families. But if you have something available, you're going to help. And that's a big deal. So everybody out there who's saying, geez, how do I get in touch with Shelley to get that help for my organization? You can do it in a couple of ways. You can go to her website at SegalMedicareExperts.com. So Shelley, this is where they would reach you on the website and they can put an inquiry in. And then Shelley is a unique individual. She gives her own personal phone number out here. This is Shelley, area code 562-334-7980. Shelley actually takes your calls and is responsive to you. She's that kind of human, which is a rare breed, Shelley, these days. And so I just wanted to make sure everybody knows how accessible you and your team are and how you partner and collaborate, and you're so responsive to your friends and partners that you work with. So we so appreciate you.
Oh, thank you so much. We're all in this together, and if you could help one person, it's like saving the world. So essentially we do have subject matter experts. We have Part D experts, enrollment experts, appeals and grievance experts. So we do it all for all functional areas for Medicare Advantage and Part D.
So take us away, Shelley. Let's start with question number one. Let's get to the meat of it.
Great. Meat and potatoes. This is a common question we get in regards to a representative, a surrogate that may be authorized to help the member in their appeals or grievance or just basically information. And this is something that I always hear different circumstances, and people think about one thing as an AOR, appointment of representatives, And other documents you may need are HIPAA authorization forms. So the key is to really know the difference. If the representative wants to act and help the member with their appeals or grievance or coverage determination, that would be a basic AOR, but it also can be a court appointed guardian or a proxy. But essentially, for an AOR, that's the person who can help the member go through the system of appeals and grievance. Because with all those regulations, it's never easy. So essentially, all of the above help the beneficiary in all different ways. The key is to remember an AOR, appointment of representative, is needed to help a beneficiary with their appeal or grievance. There are other forms, as we talked about, like to help if we get the call. It's kind of funny when you're answering customer service calls and agents and brokers know that they need an authorization of some kind, a HIPAA authorization, to be able to get the information that the member needs. Otherwise, the plan is not supposed to give that information out. So sometimes
Shelley, will you do us a big favor and advance the slide for us so we can see the question?
I'm on the answer, so let me try again. Can you see it now?
For some reason, we see the cover page, but it's not advancing to these other slides.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Now we're on the answer too. Perfect.
All right. So an appointment of representative, you could still see it, Erin?
I can definitely see it.
And so all of the above, but I was talking about a HIPAA authorization because we are not supposed to give any information out to anybody, a member, unless they have a healthcare proxy or durable power attorney. But most plans use a HIPAA form, easy for the beneficiary to give their daughter, their uncle, their aunt, so that they can get help whenever they need it, to build the team so it's a team to help the member. A lot of times I'm answering the phone because I go in to hear different things in member services, and somebody calls and says, I need information for this member. This is her daughter, and I'm helping her out. And lo and behold, because I recognize the phone number, I'm like, is this Susie with this agency? Are you calling to help the member with questions? And they're like, oops, yes.
They're like, who's this?
So after you're in this organization and this industry for a long time, you get to know everybody, and especially different agents and brokers. And I know they want to help the beneficiary, but at that point, if they're calling, you can ask for the member service rep to talk to the member and provide an okay for you to get that information. So you don't need to say, I'm her third daughter or anything else. It's really easy.
Even if they think of you as one, it's not still the truth.
Yes.
Well, Shelley, I've had several experiences where me or my team will call in to member services with the client on the line. And I've actually found that to work very, very easily. Basically, the member services representative for the carrier will ask the client for permission to speak with us on the line. And then we'll additionally ask if it's okay to discuss specifically with us, solutions to whatever care or issue there is. And that's worked very, very well. I also have experience trying to call on behalf of them without such a thing on the line, and it does not work. You're not going to get the answers you need. I wanted to take this one step further with this, though, Shelley, in the pre-enrollment phase, because a lot of times on Medicare Advantage, there's a son or daughter involved in making the selection for their parent. And can you explain, when is it acceptable to do that, and what kind of proof is required to submit an application such as power of attorney or that type of thing?
So essentially, that's a great question. A power of attorney is needed for signing an enrollment form if the beneficiary is not able to understand in some way they're incapacitated, and don't feel good about signing it. So that would be a durable power of attorney. It could be for healthcare or other ones. Usually those are on record in the member's file, so it makes it easy. The way that we see this happen, though, more like 80%, is really the agent or broker on the phone with the beneficiary saying, I'm here helping them out. We were talking with their daughter and the prospective member, and they really need to know this. And I want to make sure I'm giving them the right information. Can you help us with this benefit? How is this done? And that works the best because everybody's working together for the benefit of the prospective member.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And just to tag on to when there is a power of attorney for healthcare. So I've had a recent example, and I just want to make sure I'm on the right track, right? So I enrolled somebody who was not able to sign for themselves or select their own plan, and their daughter had power of attorney for healthcare. And basically how it seems to work today is that somebody who has power of attorney for healthcare can provide it to us, that they've got that. We keep it in the member's record on our end, and then we can submit the application, with the power of attorney signature. In past lives, we used to have to submit the power of attorney documentation with the application. So we haven't been submitting it. Are we on the right track? Is that how it works? And just want to make sure we're doing this in a compliant manner.
Absolutely. That's very compliant. It used to be where the power of attorney had to be submitted with the enrollment form, but that really didn't make it easy for the broker, agent, or member. They're like, I need copies and I can't send it in now, and things got delayed. And that really is not in the benefit of the prospective member. No, so now the power of attorney is only needed if CMS requests it. It does not need to be turned in with the enrollment form. So that way it makes it much easier.
Yes. I definitely think that's an enhancement. So, all right, Shelley, let's talk about your Medicare coverage. SCAN Health Plan is for people with Medicare, and that's their sole focus. They're known for their award-winning service, and that's really what sets them apart. SCAN has the comprehensive all-in-one coverage you need, plus the extra benefits that might surprise you, and the exceptional service that you deserve. It's time for a better Medicare Advantage experience. To learn more about SCAN, please visit scanhealthplan.com or ask about SCAN from your local agent or broker. That's an enhancement. So, all right, Shelley, drum roll for question number 2. All
right.
I can see it. Perfect.
Great. So this is a question that I get a lot on, because when I try to explain enrollment functions or enrollment periods of when somebody can enroll, I kind of talk about baseball, believe it or not. You have the different bases, like the different election periods, and you can only go to first base. You can't go to second first. You can't just hit a ball and go to second. There is a hierarchy to make it easier. And it's really, a lot of people get confused. But the big thing that just changed recently in the final regulations is that dual eligible beneficiaries and LIS, low income subsidy beneficiaries, they can enroll in any MAPD in their service or area when they select during the annual election period, the Medicare Advantage open enrollment period, or if they have a special election period. If they want to enroll, they also have the ability to enroll every single month into an integrated health plan, which means the health plan sponsor has a Medicare account with CMS, a Medicare contract with CMS, and also a Medicaid contract with the state. So when you have both, then a dually eligible beneficiary and LIS beneficiaries can enroll every single month for the first 3 quarters. And then usually at AEP, which is the October 15th, which we're coming up close to December 7th. So what this really did is change health plans that don't have a Medicaid contract to not be able to enroll every month. but can only enroll in the annual election period, the Medicare Advantage OEP, or a SEP. And a SEP is like the member is living in New York and they decide to come to California to get the sunny weather, then that would be a special enrollment period. So they could change plans in that way.
That makes a lot of sense. And this is having a big impact. So when I think of question number 2, a couple of things that have come up relative to this is this year in 2024 and prior or recent prior, there has been a quarterly election for LIS and Medis that where they could switch into any Advantage or back to original Medicare, and it was very flexible in terms of what they wanted to do on a quarterly basis. Now those types of elections are just like Shelley you're describing, right? It's AEP, OEP, or any other SEP that they might be eligible for. What's different now is the election still exists, but the carrier does need to have both the Medicare and the Medicaid contract. And so what's happened is some of the plans that were operating in a way where they didn't have those plans before have either actually exited the marketplace or frozen enrollment on those plans. And really, it's only the dually aligned plans that are still available within the markets under that Medi segment. And so once they have enrolled into the integrated plan, aren't they necessarily locked in then for the rest of the year, Shelley? So they can do it any month, but once they're aligned into the integrated plan, are they then done until their next valid election period? How does that work?
In actuality, if something changed, they do have the ability to change between plans. Like if a Scan Health plan has a plan benefit package in Los Angeles, and then they also have one in San Bernardino, the beneficiary can change between those plans.
Got it.
And Scan Health plan has a Medicaid contract and a Medicare contract.
Got it.
The intent of CMS to do this is beneficiaries were really getting in the middle of everything. They would ask the Medicare Advantage organization for one benefit, then Medicare Advantage would say, oh no, we don't cover that. You need to go to your Medicaid benefit. And then some Medicare Advantage want to help and try to provide everything. And it really got confusing for the members. It's much easier to coordinate all of those benefits when it's the same entity who's providing the Medicaid benefits and the Medicare benefits.
It does make a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. And I've noticed even in the past, when it's not fully integrated, it's confusing for the providers because they don't even know which direction to bill, right? And in some cases, they don't have an assigned PCP. It's just really messy. So I'm hoping that I'm actually really optimistic that's going to clean things up and create a better care experience, which is kind of what we're all after.
Actually,
so I see you have a little color here, Shelley, on OEP. Did you want to expand a little bit on the different election periods and what they mean?
Sure. There's the annual election period, which is every year, kind of like in the government, you have the annual enrollment or in a health plan for employees. And that is every single year from October 15th to December 7th. And then the effective date is January 1st. Now, a lot of members, you could start marketing, which is currently today is, I believe, the 7th. And you could talk to beneficiaries about the new benefits for all the clients you work with or all the health plans. But you cannot accept an enrollment form until 10/15. And I've always asked CMS, why can't you explain everything, talk to the beneficiary, and get that enrollment form? It makes it so much easier on the beneficiary and on the agent and brokers and health plans. And sometimes, people want to make it easy enough. They collect an enrollment form, but it's before October 15th. And that could really get people into issues.
It's a no-no. We know that. So everybody out there that's listening, as you're giving Shelley a thumbs up and making comments in the notes, just to reiterate what Shelley's saying is no matter what, if it's an AEP election period enrollment, you cannot accept it as an agent or broker between October 1st and 14th. So during that time period, you can educate, you can talk about plans, you can leave information with a beneficiary, but you can't take and hold an enrollment form. You can't encourage them to mail in their enrollment form. Nothing like that. You've got to wait until the 15th. And by now, if you've been in the business, hopefully you know that. But for you newbies out there, this is a big deal.
And something to think about when I asked CMS, and I did, of course, ask 3 different people in CMS because I wanted to see if I got the same answer of why this distinct. And all 3 said the intent is because there's so much information coming out and there's so many different health plans, and they talk to different brokers and agents. They really wanted to kind of like the lemon law. They wanted the beneficiary to have time to sit on it and read the information and come back and ask questions. They didn't want anybody to feel rushed that today is October 2nd, you're in the annual election period, you need to sign now. So They did it, the intent to be nicer and easier for the beneficiaries.
And then I can kind of see the benefit of it, Shelley. I mean, I can see it both ways, right? I mean, I can see the convenience when someone says, well, I'm ready to go and I'm going on vacation. Can I just sign it up now? And I'm thinking, sorry, I can't do that right now. But then I also, as an agent, I like that time between the 1st and the 14th because I can get everything lined up. It gives me a chance to talk to all of my clients and give them the options. And then we're kind of ready to roll once AEP actually comes. I mean, obviously there's people that come in after that, but it is a great early look time to take care of all of our existing customers.
Yeah, the intent is to make it easier. And if you keep that in mind, it makes more sense. Just another note. So there are special enrollment periods. There are over 25 of them, so I'm not going to go through them. But it's like if a member moves to a different service area, if they're enrolling into a special needs plan to be for chronic illness, like for somebody who has ESRD, who has going through kidney failure, or somebody who has a chronic condition, that is what the health plan specializes. And that would be another special election period.
Okay.
And what do you get most special election periods? Is there something, Erin, that you see most of your clients use?
I think the biggest thing that I find is going to be a change is for those LIS and Medis because it has to be fully integrated. Otherwise, I would say for the most part, it's AEP and OEP or T65, the initial election period. Probably the most common SEP outside of a Medi would be somebody moving to a new service area. So I feel like you've covered it pretty well. But for those who are working in the Medi space, I think this is a big change just because this is just different options available at different times of the year. And they're going to have to tap into more of the traditional election periods if people really need to make a change. So that's going to be a big deal, I think.
And just for a note, a lot of times I've heard from agents, basically agents and brokers, salespeople saying, why did CMS do this? It kind of takes away my ability to enroll more people, to spend different time with them. And CMS basically said, there are things you could still do during OEP. An agent can distribute marketing materials to educate people who request the information. You can meet with clients who've requested a meeting to evaluate their options and explain to them when their election periods are. Of course, health plans that are 5-star plans, and there are a lot of them getting to be a 5-star plan, they have continuous enrollment, a special election period just for 5-star plans. And of course, the last one is to work with the T65 crowd. The people are aging into Medicare, which the baby boomers are still aging in. So that is a key market to work with.
So Shelley, I was going to ask you a question and get your thoughts from a compliance standpoint, but one of the best practices that I have found is AEP is really busy, right? We have a lot of people who enroll or change during this time, and we do our best job to get them aligned with the right plan and make sure they're good. But one of the things that we like to do in the first quarter is to do some sort of high touch retention with our existing clients. Just make sure they got their ID cards, make sure they got all of their plan materials, make sure they understand their bonus benefits and how they're going to take advantage of them. And a lot of times through that process, it's just a lot of gratitude for the help. But sometimes it also helps us identify an issue of some sort, which obviously, if there really is an issue, OEP can be relevant. So can you just talk through what that looks like? Is this a compliant practice that we're doing? Do you agree that that would be a best practice, and any tips you would give on that?
Yes, absolutely a best practice, because the more that you work with the clients, the more they learn about all of the things that apply to them and what's working or not working. Again, we're all in this together, and the more we can work with the beneficiaries, the better it is.
100%. Great. So keep us rolling, Shelley. Let's see.
Okay.
Question number 3.
Question number 3. It's a quick one, but CMS has changed whether scripts like enrollment scripts or telemarketing scripts have to be sent to CMS for review, approval, or file and use. And I got a question, or I've gotten several, but what about the scope of, I'm blanking out, the SOW.
The scope of appointment.
Yeah, the scope of appointment. Do we have to send a script in to CMS to get the scope or the form approved? And the answer is no. It basically, at this point, you never know if CMS is going to change again. But the scope of appointment form does not need to be submitted to CMS.
Great. Great feedback, Shelley. Hot question number 4 coming up.
I just wanted to, on 3, here's the CMS response, because we, at SME, we send questions to CMS and we get it in writing. And here's the writing. It was sent on 7/25/24, and CMS said, nope, submission is not required.
So here it is in print, ladies and gentlemen, proof positive. And by the way, if you're listening out there, when we do the release of this video, be sure to ask a question in the chat. Shelley's right on it to answer your questions. And also, if you have a question about something that didn't come up, be sure to put it in there, and we can put it into either a future presentation or get back to you with the answer right away. So just want to encourage everybody to do that.
That is a great idea. Definitely. I think we have time for one more question. But this one, I love this. We asked CMS that, there's the AHIPS certification and other vendors that do it as well. UL is another that provides the different certification for the sales every year. And the question I get often is, we take it every year. Do we have to? And like the first 3 courses are general courses. And the question is, if I've already taken it and I got passing scores, for the next year, can I simply take the quizzes and the final to get the passing score of 85%? Or do I really need to go through it? I know some health plans are going, oh, let's make them go through it again so they can remember what's important and have it fresh in mind. But the other thing is, it's great to allow agents and brokers to get out in the field and work with beneficiaries and understand the information. So the basic answer is CMS, and again, this is straight from CMS, says that an agent broker must be tested and trained annually, achieving the 85% or higher. But how MA organizations implement this is a decision for each plan. So a lot of times it's in the contract with the plan and the agent, or the broker and the agent, that explains, first year you need to do all of them. Second year, if you had on the first year 85% and higher on the first time that you did it, then going forward, we just want you to remember what you tested for, so you could go ahead and do the quizzes and the final exam, and that would work.
That's incredible. That's a big enhancement. And I think it's just focusing in for agents on new developments versus rehashing the same stuff that they know.
Right.
It's just such a much more engaging and educational way to do this. And like you said, frees up time to do what it's really about, get out there with the clients and take care of them and make sure they have what they need. So Shelley, as usual, well, you ended up with the Fab Four today, but I know I'm going to have you back on the show again real soon. And I love and appreciate working with you. I want to thank you for bringing these hot topics out. Shelley, can you remind everybody how to reach you if they're interested in setting up a consult or asking a question? What's the best way?
So just to remember, we do it all Medicare Advantage and Part D. The only thing we don't work with is doing actuary work because those are, we leave for the actuaries. And as I said, you can give me a call anytime. If I have the information on the top of my head, the answer is totally free. It's a way to giving back to the organizations. And you can reach me at 562 334 7980. You can also send an inquiry at the website, SegalMedicareExperts.com. So we're here anytime. Sometimes we work 7 days a week.
It feels like that sometimes, right?
All right. Give me a call anytime. We're here to help.
Shelley, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to meet with me today. Appreciate all that you do. Keep up the great work over there.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on this call.
Thank you, Shelley.
Bye.